Hey everyone, welcome to another video. This is part 2 of working through the Talisman machine here on Hack Smarter. Now, if this is the first video that you are watching, I recommend starting with part 1. Otherwise, you might feel a little bit lost. But in this video, we just gain access to a CloudBeaver instance with some leaked credentials. This video is likely going to consist of me stumbling around and getting confused and trying to do this, but hey, that's what hacking actually looks like, and I want to invite you with me on this troubleshooting journey as we try to figure out how to get remote code execution or remote file read via CloudBeaver. All that being said, let me share my screen. We'll dive in together. By the way, this is a lab on Hack Smarter. If you don't have a sub to Hack Smarter, you should get one. It's incredibly affordable, and we release new labs all of the time. All right, let me go ahead and share my screen, and let's dive in and pick up right where we left off. If you remember in the previous video, we ended by discovering this service on port 8978. It accepted a username and password. We used the Jane credentials that we found in that third-party data breach in video 1, and we were able to log into the CloudBeaver service with the leaked credentials. We spent a little bit of time looking at what the heck is CloudBeaver, and the TLDR is it's a web GUI for managing databases. But let's go ahead and figure out what the heck we are able to do with this. So we can see we have this Oracle database here. We might be able to check out the schemas. We can look, I don't know, we have a few that might be interesting to look into. We have dev. We can look at the tables potentially. If I double click it, does CloudBeaver open it for me? All right, we just have 1, 2, 3, and dev 1, dev 2, dev 3. You know, it'd be amazing if we could just like find a password, but I'm pretty sure that's too easy. That's not going to be what we have to do. We see like some admin users. We could try to click into those. We can go to tables, and I apologize. Let me see if I can make this bigger. Can I? Yeah. I'll zoom in for you guys a little bit so you can see what I'm clicking into a little bit better. Do we have no tables here? There are no items to show. All right, we have some sys backup stuff. I'm going to go ahead and minimize some of these just so I can get a better look for things. Sys backup, I mean, that might be interesting. I have no idea. We have no tables for that either. What do we have down here? We have global metadata. Here, let's close schemas. What do we have in global metadata? We have some types. Oh, okay, that's just types of like file format. We have a recycle bin. Did our user throw anything away? Did you throw away any passwords? Doesn't look like it. How about storage? We have some table spaces within storage. It doesn't seem to have anything interesting. How about security? Yeah, how about users? Oh, wow, we have a bunch of users, but I think these are mainly built-in users to an Oracle database. I'm almost certain these are all built-in users. Might be wrong there. Global metadata? Maybe. I don't know. I like to just... Oh, table view doesn't exist. On a CTF or even a real engagement, I like to just explore. Click around and see what might be here. It looks like neither of those exist. And just see, like, what do we have access to? Are there any easy wins? How does the application actually work? This is actually a big part of a web app pen test, although that's not what this is. If you do web app pen testing, which almost run away, you'll know this doing bug bounty. I usually spend the first day of a web app pen test of just using the application like a normal user. You can't break something that you don't understand. And so I'll spend the entire day just like, how would a normal user use this web app? And I take notes as I go. And that's actually incredibly important. Something that junior pen testers often overlook is just learn how to use the app as a normal user and then think about how you can break it. So even on something like this, I just try to like play around with it. Like what can I actually do? So here we have a role. I don't know. Oh, I can't actually change my role. I might be able to. Like that could be something we might be able to abuse. If we go to preferences, nothing. Let's data editor, SQL editor. So these are just preferences for that. We can look at authentication. So we could change our user's password, but I don't know why we would want to do that. There's not much else here. But there was, I saw an option to run queries. Is there like saved queries? Can you see like a user's previous queries? An entire day? It depends on the size of the application, but I'll spend a lot of time using it. Especially like, this is probably different than bug bounty, but in a web app pen test, generally what will happen is you'll get 2 different tenants that you're testing, so you can test cross-tenant attacks, and then often there's 4 or 5 different privilege levels. So it might be unauthenticated, guest user, normal user, admin user, and so I want a good feel of what each one of these users can do traditionally, and then dive into stuff from there. Paid by the hour. I'm paid by the project, not the hour. So, man, I'm assuming we have to run like some Oracle queries. And here I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. Here is where like I generally try not to rely on AI, especially when I'm learning or doing labs. I think it's too easy to turn to the almighty robots. Let me jump over to this. It's too easy to rely on the almighty robots. I think there's something worth just like digging in on your own. But when it comes to something like this, that's where I think it might be worth trying the almighty robots. Now, we'll try Gemini. I used to use GPT, but I don't have a GPT subscription, but I get a Gemini sub as part of my Google Workspace. And so I'm going to say, like, give me a TLDR on CloudBeaver. Let's just begin with that. So nothing super interesting there. Let's see. For an Oracle database, I am doing a CTF and have access to CloudBeaver. What are some SQL statements I should try to execute for testing? Okay, well, this actually seems somewhat helpful. We'll see whether or not it's helpful or AI is hallucinating, but we can select user from dual. Is dual, that will find out which schema we're authenticated as, dictate our access level. That might be a good starting point. I mean, let's go ahead and try it. I'm assuming I can just execute the statement here, and we are the dev user. And let's go to make sure we're taking good notes here. So I'm gonna say H3, enumerating the database, or enumerating the Oracle database. And I want to drop in the specific queries that I'm using here, so that if I ever encounter this in the future, I know like, hey, this will show me what I'm running. So I'm going to maybe add some comments here. So checking my user's privileges. And if you use AI, which is fine, I'm obviously using it right now, I'm not mad about it, but make sure you document what it's actually doing and what you're learning as a result, so that you can learn that stuff yourself. And our user is running, I'm going to do like that to show the response of each query. So we're running as the dev user. And I don't know, oh, Gemini is right here. So database version, determine the exact version, useful for exploits. Is that really how it goes? V $ version? Okay. Let's try it. Hey, Cody Crooks with a super chat for a GPT subscription for 1 month. I thank you. We'll see how Gemini does, but shown value panel. There we go. So this is the version information. But dude, you're amazing with the super chat. Now I will say YouTube takes freaking like 60% of the super chat, so you're gonna have to give even more to afford that GPT sub of 1 month. But thank you, Cody, seriously, for the super chat. You're awesome. We'll do that to show the output. That's actually hilarious though. I love it. So we could look into any vulnerabilities with that. But before we do that, I just want to go through each one of these queries and understand what it's doing. So list all system privileges granted the current table. So if we can create tables, drop any tables, that might be helpful. Really, I want to know like what I think would be useful is if we could read remote files, something along those lines. Oh, and we actually have a bunch of permissions from what I can see here. I don't know if there's a good way for me to copy all of this and paste it. Can I? Oh, yeah. Okay, cool. Dude, Cody, you're amazing. You're absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for your generosity. Like, you have made my night as well. Thank you, Cody, for your generosity. Thank you for being here. I'm going to go get a GPT sub just because of you. You're awesome, dude. Thank you. Any Halloween sale giveaways that are going to do? Maybe. I just keep it one day at a time. Who knows? All right, so we can see my privileges there. I'm not going to do that to each one of them, but we can set containers, create index type, create operator, create type, drop, create, trigger, procedure, cluster, create table, create session. Now, I don't know much about Oracle permissions, but it does seem like we have a lot of permissions in this environment that we might be able to abuse. And I almost want to jump to that. What else do we have this? List all roles. Okay, that might actually be helpful as well to test before we start just hacking all the things. What roles do we have? We have... Okay, we have two roles, resource and connect. Resource and connect. Oh, not A. All right, Gemini. Gemini is doing pretty good, guys. List tables owned by the current user. I don't know if that'll be helpful in this instance. Find columns in a specific table. We already can look at that partially. Ooh, privilege. Did Gemini is doing pretty good, if I must say so myself. If you're looking to escalate privs or access more restricted data, try these Oracle-specific queries. External data access out of band. These can interpret data or confirm a blind... Well, we don't need to confirm a blind SQL injection. We can execute SQL queries. So, okay, he's a little bit confused here. We don't need to do SQL injection. I'm going to drop the list of permissions to see what Gemini has to say about these. Because I have a feeling these we're going to be able to abuse in some cool way to do something. Okay, they are high. I was right. I know very little about Oracle permissions, but they looked high to me as well. Your primary goal is to find sensitive data, like a flag, user credentials, system information. Find all columns, read sensitive data. See, I don't know if it's... I already kind of looked at that. I don't know if that's going to be the way forward. This seems interesting. The permissions are major, blah, blah. Code execution. This is what I want. Your create procedure privilege allows you to create stored procedures, which can be combined with other system packages to potentially read or write files on the database server. List existing logical directories. If a directory points to a sensitive path, you can use it with a UTL file if available to read. I don't even know what the frick that means. All right, let's try it. Oh, okay. Does Notion do anything with these notes? I do not know. I wouldn't store like sensitive or client information in Notion, but for a CTF, I mean, I don't know. I don't really care. They can train their AI on my CTF data if they want. What was this called? UTL file, list existing logical directories. Select that from all directories, and if we look over at CloudBeaver, I'm just want to see if any of these, can I move this up? Yeah. Okay. So we have this admin directory. We have this XML directory. We have opt data. So we could potentially try to read those, I'd assume. Oh, wait, what? Create or replace directory, CTF directory as temp. Can I read? Does Notion do anything with these notes? Oh, I meant like putting it all together and finding a vulnerability. I'm not sure. I don't know what you mean by put it all together. Like you as a person can. I don't know if Notion does. I don't really use the Notion AI. I think that's a paid feature, and I use a free version of Notion. Create or replace. Is the command actually create or replace? Maybe it is. I don't freaking know. Let's do this. Create or replace directory, CTF directory as. Oh, no. Not open that. I want to see if I can read Etsy password. Okay, that worked. Pointing to a path on the machine. And now, just for a POC, to read the Etsy password, you'll need to use the Oracle built-in package UTL file, which we already saw, with an anonymous PL SQL block. The following PL SQL block will use your created directory object to open, read the contents of, and display the Etsy password file. I mean, it probably won't, but, you know, we can hope for the best. Gemini is actually being more useful than I was expecting here. You may need to have the execute privilege on the UTL file to make this work, but given your high create privs, there's a strong likelihood you can use it. What are we doing here? So we're declaring this file handle, setting the characters, open the file in read mode using the created directory object. Our file name is passwords like Etsy password open mode R. Read the file line by line. Close the file handle end. So we might have to enable DBMS output, and we might have to execute a strip. Run the entire code block above as a single script in the CloudBeaver SQL editor. The output will appear in the dedicated server output panel. I mean, what do we have to lose? Let's give it a shot. Paste that is there. Is this a script button? Execute SQL script. Why do I have to close the tab? Yes. Invalid SQL statement. Did I do something wrong? What if I just do that? Did it work? What did it told me I had to enable something. Amish says, yeah, I'm lost. That makes two of us. Enable DBMS output. Okay, what's this button? How about show server output? Let's try it again with showing server output. Yes. Oh, boom. Etsy password. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm a freaking hacker. All right, and we'll say reading Etsy password like a boss. I just had to fix the SQL stuff a little bit. All right, now that we have all that up there, I am going to create a new one. We'll just do like Etsy password. And let's drop it in there because we might be able to pull some interesting information out of this Etsy password file. I see it, but I don't know what you did. Hey, I don't know what I did either, but we're going to go with it. Actually, I do know what I did. So step number 1 is we had to create a new directory. We crawled our directory CTF directory, and we specified the etc path because I wanted to see if I could read etc password. And then I, vibe coded this crazy script that actually is vibe coded wrong. It had a forward slash at the end that we didn't need, but once I removed that, it worked. And we were able to read etc password. That's actually pretty cool. And when we're looking at etc password, what I'm curious about now, because remember we have SSH is enabled on this machine. We saw SSH. So there's a few ideas. We're running as the dev user. I don't know if the dev user would have access to any of these other users who have login shells, specifically Oracle and Superset. I don't see login shells for these other users, but potentially we could do that same process, but read like an ID RSA key or something along those lines. But I'm looking over at the recording time, and I think this is actually a really good natural stopping point for the end of part 2. We spent a lot of time in this video with the help of Almighty Gemini, figuring out how we can abuse the Oracle database to at least get remote file read. And we were able to successfully read the etc password file. And so I want to give you a challenge. I don't know for sure, but I think the way forward is to do a similar process, but instead of reading etc password, we're going to want to see what we can access from one of these 2 users. Maybe we can access their secret key. Maybe we could actually put a file. I'm not sure, but maybe we could upload our own authorized keys to their SSH folder. It depends what permissions we have. Maybe we can read something else that provides initial credentials to get access. I'm not sure, but I've showed you in this video how we can at least do a file read. I want to see if you can take it to the next level and see what information you're able to gain access to. So, hey, give it your best shot. If you get stuck, that's totally fine. If you are stuck, just join me in the next video and we'll continue stumbling through this together.